Hey everybody, it's Chestnut. This is the second Yardcore Nexus, and with me I have the amazing Malzek, who everybody should know from Housing Chat.
Hello.
So what plot are we on today out of your many?
We are on Kelsom Dustthorn, and this is the atmospheric processor, the second plot that I had ever done.
Cool. So let's do a tour and we can talk about inspiration and stuff as we go.
Alright, we're going to start out with the base plot that was the original 300 decor before they raised the decor to 1000 and drop 3. The base level was inspired by aliens. I had done a series of plots, and my first plot was named LV-426, which was the name of the planetoid in the movie Aliens, where Ripley and her crew sit down to find a distress signal from a derelict alien spacecraft. Um, the original thing I was going for was very dark, very atmospheric. The name is actually not referencing the atmospheric elements inside the plot. It's a reference to the Aliens movie, which is a sequel to Alien, wherein they go to a colony that has been put on that planetoid by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, and they're processing the atmosphere into something breathable, livable for humans because it originally was very hostile to humans. Think like if you try to go on Mars, your head would probably implode.
Right.
So that was kind of the idea here. Unfortunately, Drop 3, when they changed a lot of these things to activatable or interactive decor pieces, a few of things broke, like the generators on the side here. These used to have blue lights on them, and the fan used to blow and glow blue and blow out like fog and stuff. But because you have the activation on decor that you can interact with is set in the center of it, you can't actually turn them on anymore. So
Oh
I'm hoping they'll
no.
fix that eventually, because they were kind of a key. The room was kind of built around those.
Right.
But so yeah, that's what the plot is designed with in mind. You can see that a lot of pressure dividers were used. One of the big things I tried to do was I tried to capture a lot of the tropes from science fiction. Right angles, repetitive, modular design was one of the huge things that has been throughout science fiction when it comes to spacecraft. This room here, I need to put the book back down, but this room here is actually directly a reference to a scene in Alien Resurrection where Sigourney Weaver and Winona Ryder are in a prayer room, and Winona Ryder's character, Call, the android, plugs into the system through an electronic Bible, and she takes control of the ship that's headed towards Earth to crash into it.
I have not actually seen that Aliens movie, so that's really cool to know. I'll have to add that to my list
Yeah.
too.
Alien Resurrection is considered the worst in the Alien series. I find it great for comedic value.
I will keep that in mind when I watch it.
A lot of people miss the interior down here. It's actually built in. That door there goes to the interior. I guess it just blends in really well, so people don't notice it very much.
It does. I remember having to get someone to show me when you first entered this in the first lifestyles.
Yeah, this ramp here went through various iterations, trying to make it obvious that you could jump up it, hence the light pointing upwards and the giant arrows pointing upwards now. So you just double jump up here, and the angle at the top ideally will rocket you towards the vent here that you're climbing up as we go up to the reactor core. The reactor core is kind of what makes people lose their crap usually when they come in here. It's the typical response because they see how gigantic the room is, and I'm just kind of bouncing around here. But this entire room is made out of an Eldon fuel rod, which is from the default housing vendor, a couple Eldon screens, and all these green circles around here are actually metal Osen banners, which are also on the housing vendor.
Wow.
It's just this is where I really learned to start using the coordinates and entering them manually, which is how I get a lot of stuff to line up the way it does, is by just reflecting it because it's all like even angles or negative or positive in angle department. So I just flip them around and mirror them each other to get them lined up the way I did.
Oh, cool. I've tried using the copy paste feature for those, and it's I'm not good at math. I'm not good at housing in general, so.
I'm not necessarily a math person, but I know enough geometry to know, like, 45 degrees is the in-between spot between 0 and 90 degrees, and 135 is actually the sweet spot between 90 and 180 degrees. So that's how you can get your angles in if you're trying to turn something in an angle between the right angles and get it to work with you.
See, the more you know.
Now we're in the interior here. The interior, this is a spacious exile house. A lot of people don't actually know which kind of house this is because I really tried hard to blend it in with the rest of the plot.
And you did an awesome job with it.
Thank you. The first thing you come into is kind of a mess hall. I tried to make it look lived in because they always had mess halls in the Alien movies, and it was, of course, everything ended up abandoned because no matter what, something bad happened, and everyone just had a GTFO.
Right.
So,
Well, and the mess halls always seem to be a big part of the beginning. Even in the newest film, I forget, like the prequel, like it always takes place in like the mess hall.
oh yeah, Prometheus.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, everything always starts out in the mess hall, and that's how you know it's an Alien movie because everything's gonna. Oh, they're having such a good time, and
Everything's gonna go to shit.
90% of them's gonna die. They want to try and make you attached to the characters, so you're sad when they all finally get killed off.
Yep.
The second floor here is kind of meant as an engineering level, which is all kinds of like doodads and stuff here. Because when you're in another science fiction trope is just random machinery that you have no idea what it does, but it looks badass. So I kind of just threw everything in here and containers and stuff because for whatever reason, despite being, in the 2000s, 3000s, we still haven't gotten any better at being able to keep ourselves from cluttering our workspace.
Well, and that makes it look more lived in and real too, because everybody does that in real life, unless you're
Exactly.
weird.
Well, that's kind of like some of the elements, like the cans and everything, just placed here and there. This is the kind of the living quarters where everyone comes up and lives. And then you have a small lab and a kind of a sleeping quarters back here. And I put like little plushies or books or hats to kind of make them all unique and make it look like there's different people here. Like this one has a judge's hat. And this one has a couple books on them.
And I saw the plushie on the one in the very back.
Yeah. And then you have the lab back here, which is kind of an experimental lab where they're, for whatever reason, I decided to put a Skeech back there under a drill. Probably because of my hate of War of the Wilds. And then, of course, keeping strain and infectious diseases or specimens in the living quarters is obviously smart.
Yeah, well, it's very alien. That's what they would do.
And then you have the shower here. The shower curtain is actually made out of upside-down, scaled-up drinking glasses to just kind of get the shiny plastic version. You can't walk through it, but it is a shower curtain. Let's see here. And then that's pretty much it for the living quarters. A lot of the... I actually originally did not have a house on this plot, and I put the spacious house in as a afterthought. And that's another thing is the stairs up are actually divided. You can actually come down here, and here's a control room. But I actually put the spacious exile house in as an afterthought, and it destroyed almost all the reactor core that I originally had put down. But it actually turned out to be what Bob Ross would call a happy accident, because that gave me the inspiration to use the low gravity pad to have you jump up, and the reactor core ended up looking a lot better when I was able to put above everything. So
Yeah.
it ended up working out for the better. Of course, you can come down here, like there's like all kinds of wires and cables and crap down here and a generator, so it's not like completely empty down here.
I like the use of the keyboards as like control panels and stuff.
Thank you. Let's see, and that is it for the interior. We'll go ahead and go outside. This was all the pre-300 limit. I actually managed to get all the first floor here done in the 300, and then I started extending out of the fake doors I originally had sitting around the plot a lot. And I used fake doors originally to try and make it feel like it was bigger. The wing we're going down now is actually the most recent addition with the maintenance platforms, I was able to take up a lot of the Chewa floors and adventure weights posters I originally used for floor panels. And I was able to save a lot of decor space and open up a new wing here as of drop 4. And this is an old communication station, and the AI core is in there. This thing here is actually a Dominion transport ship that they added with the veteran ship hands, this most recent drop, and it's just kind of got some chairs. And the cool thing about this ship is it actually comes with all this junk in it, except for the chairs and the monitors. It comes with it by default, so you don't have to add all this in, and it saves you a lot of decor space if you want to try and fit it in and make it a room for something.
That's really cool. I didn't know that. I know some of them, like, you can blow them up to make them big enough, but I never would have thought to use it as, like, a room or something.
And then in here we have the AI core, and well, I had a hologram here that's mysteriously gone missing.
Uh-oh.
Well, anyway, there was a hologram of the Forge Master Trogan from Kelvorth sticking out of the AI core there originally to make it look like it was kind of like he had whoever the hologram entity was who possessed the AI core there. And I put this here for my roleplay group because we were going to turn it into kind of a boss fight.
Oh, cool.
So it looks a lot more threatening with the giant Trogan sticking out of the top of it. But unfortunately, that randomly disappeared, which is a current housing bug that every now and then the decor will randomly disappear like that.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. I had it happen a couple times on Cocoon and Nevershade while I was placing a Osen wolf head. I about said warhead there, that'd be scary. And I came back twice, and the wolf head had just went back to my crate for some mysterious reason.
That's really weird.
Down here this way is the area that I expanded on for drop 3 once the decor was raised from 300 to 1000. And again, it's just like rooms with various kinds of machinery and things. You don't really know what they are. I actually made a list that has all the names of the rooms and everything that I added onto it to try and kind of give myself a guide and a reference point for what I was building to try and make it feel more united. This room was inspired by Doom 3, and one of the devices on Mars in Doom 3 where the game takes place at is the elemental phase deconstructor, which sounds all fancy and sciencey, but the idea is that it breaks down the irons and the oxides on Mars and turns them into H2O, aka water. So I kind of felt that was a fitting thing on an asteroid planet thing that's kind of having this atmosphere process so that it can actually be leapable. And then this changed up here a little bit with drop 4 when I gained some decor back and I changed the flooring up here. So we're climbing up here now above the EPD. And it goes all the way up here, and then you have some computer machinery up here at the top.
Oh wow, this is really cool.
Thank you. I actually like the way this turned out with the lighting in here. It's one of the things, like lighting and ambient. Probably one of my favorite things to do in these places and when I build plots is do ambient lighting, because I do a lot of them in the dark lighting because it lets me make a lot of ambient lighting with using various decor pieces like the Elden antennas that I'm using here for fluorescent lighting on either side of this balcony here above this engineering room. Then we go in here and we have what I call the plasma filtration system, which is where they kind of filter the water and everything. This piece here, this decor piece, the exile generator, was actually retired with drop 3, and you used to get it from PvP bags, and you actually can't get it out of PvP bags anymore. It doesn't drop anymore.
Oh wow, so people either have it or they don't, and they'll never be able to get it unless they pay an exorbitant amount of money.
Exactly. If someone happens to have one sitting around from before drop 3, the Dominion one still drops. I don't know why. They just decided to retire the Exile one. This is kind of another example of it just looks like random machinery like you see in a space station or a sci-fi science fiction film, but it's actually a Japan defensive cannon that I just rotated and stuck there to make it look like machinery.
Oh, that's cool.
And then these here, the little bauble here is actually a Ichthian Ichthian tower, Ichthian water tower, and it's the legs. The legs are actually sticking up about 4 floors of length through the ceiling there.
Huh.
And then we have these, the lighting here. These are Exile cryopods that the bottom of them have these like engines type on it, but I wanted to use them for lighting to kind of make some cool looking lighting. And then this is another one of those Exile generators, but you can't turn it on anymore because the interactive thing is somewhere up top above the ceiling there.
Aw.
This is kind of where I really want to start telling a story. When I originally decided to expand, when Drop 3 came out, I wanted to kind of tell a story, and you can see, like, it's a mess. The chair's overturned, there's papers everywhere. Like, whoever left here left in a hurry, and then the vent that was plugging up the hole there is just kind of fallen over. So either something came out this way or someone went up this way, but you're not quite sure. So then you get to go up all the classic going through maintenance shafts and things like that.
So I have a question. How do you map these out? Do you just put stuff down and you're like, well, that works, I'll do that? Or do you like draw these out? Or because your plots are so like all of them are like layers upon layers upon like layers.
Originally, what I do actually is I just make a list of all the things I want to include in the plot, and I build up from there. Like, when I expanded on this plot, I knew that I wanted 3 different floors because I had a story that I was wanting to tell, and I wanted to get like closer and closer to you, like realizing what was going on as you went up and progressed through the plot. And so I had like certain things I wanted to put in each floor, like a lab or like a water filtration system or things like that. And that's usually what I do on my other plots as well. Takuna Nevershade is my current project, and his is a temple city. And I have 3 layers. There's a cavern system below the plot. There's going to be the understructure of the temple city and some kind of mystical crystal caverns that I'm waiting for drop 5 for some decor to complete. And then you're going to have the temple above all that. But like on each one, I had a sub list of things I wanted. Like in the caverns, I wanted a forge, crypt to the former kings of the temple city, and a bunch of other stuff.
I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah, I try to make room to squeeze it all in. Sometimes I can't squeeze everything in that I want to, obviously, because of the decor limits. And I kind of try and conglomerate and combine different ideas I want to do.
So what's the story with this room? It looks like the parasites they've been studying have taken over. Is that the case?
Yeah, this is kind of like, where you start seeing, oh, there's something that's not quite right here. This isn't just abandoned. Because you start looking out there and you start seeing, okay, there's some kind of overgrowth out here that does not belong here. So this is kind of your first glimpse if you come down this way of what's really going on in the plot. Or at the station here that's been abandoned. And then you go down here, you go to the right, and oh, they basically threw everything as a barricade against this door. So clearly they were trying to prevent something from getting out. And then there's like a turret up there and everything, but then this you go down here. This is why I had a lot of fun making this area and putting the lighting in because it made it like really spooky. And then this is, you see papers everywhere, and then the door's damaged and the console's damaged. Consistently on doors, like this fake door right here, I put these control panels on each of these doors, so there's like an access panel they had to use to get inside the doors. And then you come over here and it's broken, and it's sparking, and the doors turn sideways, and then you look inside and everything's all tipped over and everything. Like something really bad happened here, because this is like basically destroyed in a mess, and everything else in the base is pretty in order for the most part, other than that barricade against the door back there. Then you see that you can actually see a panel there to the side because you can go up into the ceiling panel above us right here.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, it's kind of a little tricky to get into. You have to get on top of this cot and double jump up into here.
Oh man, that's requiring a lot. Let me see if I can do that. I suck at jumping puzzles, so...
I can summon if it's necessary.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. And then you do some more maintenance shaft crawling here. And you go up here, and this is where you really know that something's wrong, because,
fires and vents are all over the place, and...
Vents are all over the place. It's on fire. There's something really bad here. They were clearly, experimenting or studying some kind of alien species because you have the classic alien eggs sitting in the
Yep.
tubes over here, and you have tubes that are knocked over.
Now, what
All
did you
kinds of.
use to house the eggs? Like, are they a strange object inside something, or?
This is an upside down clunky fire extinguisher that's coming out of the ceiling, and then the strain eggs inside.
Gotcha.
And these two at the side, these are Ichthian incubation thingies. Yeah, Ichthian incubator. These cost 15,000 renown from the housing vendor. The clunky fire extinguishers come from the magma flow challenge. The fire here is actually an upside down witch's brew. If you turn a witch's brew upside down, the particles, if you have something that has particles coming off of it, whether it's a blue flare or a claw fire totem or anything, if you turn them upside down, the actual wall upside down, the particles will still go upwards. So I hid that under the floor here to make it look like the room was on fire without there actually being any decor sticking through.
That's pretty cool. I did not know that you could turn them upside down and stuff would still come off the right way.
Oh yeah, totally. It's really cool. Very beneficial. This I just recently updated. This is using the new pipes that they gave us in drop 4. Was it drop 4 or drop 3? Oh my god, I'm like losing my mind now because I house too much. Pretty sure, yeah, it was drop 4 that we got our pipes and our glass and everything. And it's just kind of a swirly system, swirly tube down into the area that you were previewing before. Originally, there was just a shaft that dropped you way down to the bottom of the plot into a cave that I wasn't really too happy with. And then when we got a lot of the new decor from the ship hands and everything, it really let me update this plot here. So now this is actually an upside down Dominion landing pad. This is the bottom of it. It looks really cool.
Oh.
And then the Dominion landing pad is also what's below the substructure here, and it kind of makes a slide thing. You slide down into the lower level here where there's like some machinery and stuff. This is the underside of the landing pad, of the Dominion landing pad.
And more tunnels.
And more tunnels, one more tunnel here. And, oh, there she is, the Alien Queen.
Oh, that's so cool.
So this is kind of my homage to Aliens at the end when Ripley finds the Alien Queen with Newt, the little girl, and they're all in this area of the installation that's just randomly been taken over. There's eggs everywhere. And they finally have what Bill Paxton's character referred to as the hive, the big bad mother, the hive queen.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the questions asked. Well, something lays these eggs, but where do the eggs come from? So that's pretty much the end. It used to be an end of the line, but you can actually climb back up the pipe and climb all the way back out again. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Killzim's plot. Actually, no, wait, I take that back. There's the outside part too.
The outside?
Yes, if you want to hit the return to teleport button, it's a faster way to get back there. See, but actually, if you go out this way where this giant fan is, I actually put this giant fan here as a reference to Alien 3 when a guy sees an open vent that someone's been near and an alien pops out and he falls into the fan, and it's pretty gruesome. But there's a open access panel here where you can actually crawl your way outside through all these access tunnels. And this takes a little bit of double jumping, but you can actually go outside of the plot here, which I just remembered that I took all this apart because I had a lot of stuff inside. But yeah, you can actually go out here and there's a far side portal and my mining plug out here. But before I added the wing inside, no one really comes out here, so I took all my decor out here and I put it towards the newest wing with the AI core. But eventually I'm going to fix it back to where there's all the obsidian rock out here and it actually looks like an alien surface, alien world surface.
I remember that when it was the first iteration.
Yeah. So yeah, you can come out here, and then when I add all that back here, there'll be the alien surface looking stuff out here. And my mining plug, there was an afterthought that no one mines because no one can find it. Not that I can blame them. But Yes, that is Kelzum's plot. Did you want to go to Kahuna's plot and get a small preview of what I am doing there?
Sure, let's do that.
Alright. I'll type the name in chat here. This was originally my Winterfest plot that was an ice cave with an alpine forest, and it had like an ice palace that was made from Exonite. I only made it to use to win a couple Winterfest contests for winter of 2014, and I decided to retool it for my roleplay group, which is a group of wild Arn that live in the Fens in a fictional place they made up fan-wise from south of Celestian or something on the order of that. And now it's going to be an ancient abandoned temple and cave system as part of our RP group, where they're going to come in and they're going to kind of take it over because it's been abandoned. But you can see a lot of like the substructure from the city temple that's going to be above, kind of coming down into the cave system.
Yeah, I like the use of all the Draken stuff. It makes it seem more tribal and...
And you come up here, and these are the scrying pools.
I remember running over this for the winter version.
Yeah, this is actually the top of a body scanner embedded into the cave walls and everything, because it looks really glowy. So it's like the closest that you can get to like water.
Yeah.
Get a lot of spider webs and stuff like that going on to try and make it look like it's more abandoned. And to the left here, you actually have a waterfall that's inside this little crevice that I made out of embedding blue light tables into the rock around it.
And then a flare to make it look like there's water coming off at the bottom of the waterfall.
Exactly. And this is where it really starts to change, because a lot of that was just kind of reskinned aesthetically to make it look more tribal and like more cavernous instead of an ice cave. But then out here is where it really starts to change. Down this way is where a forge is going to be, and the statue heads are breathing flames. And then drop 5 is adding a rope bridge I'm going to put here in place of this pillar. And then this is an area I'm working on down here where the forges are going to be at. Then back this way, there's some labyrinthine caverns back here. Down here's a little pit with a shrine, and there's a place on the wall where you can jump up to the second level when I get it finished. All this moss here and everything is actually backwards ruby-eyed thinker statue heads, and like I put tons of them here to make it look like it was really overgrown.
So obviously you door housing, but how did you get started in WildStar housing? Is it just something you were like, hey, this is fun, let me play with it? Or like, did you come to WildStar knowing their housing is fucking amazing, I'm going to do this? Or...
It was kind of a little bit of both. I was one of those one of those veteran 10-year WoW players who's like, oh, nothing's ever going to be WoW. And 2 days into my trial, after my boyfriend gave it to me, I was hooked, and I never looked back until recently this last January. That's a completely different story, and I'm no longer sub to WoW once again. And but the housing really had me hooked from the moment I was able to do it. I was like trying to make forests and mountain ranges and all kinds of other stuff, and it turned into a really big part of the game for me and a really big hobby because I've been making custom maps for like a lot of games, like the old Doom games and Quake 3 Arena, a lot of the id Software titles that really defined the first-person shooter generation and genre. And when I started on this, it just kind of gave me a whole new genre to be able to build stuff for, and actually to be able to like share it with other people, because the communities for those really old games are really small. So this has been a really fun thing to do, especially since now I'm building for other things for other people, and it's I just love sharing artwork and creativity. I consider it artwork because it takes a lot of time and effort
Yeah, it does.
to make things look good.
I've seen sped up build videos of like just people doing a room, and like it takes hours.
Yeah, this room actually took me about an hour to make. This is the Crypt of the Fallen Kings, lore-wise for my RP group, where they're gonna try and commune with the spirits of the former kings of this temple city that we're gonna be in. But then you go out here, and then the interior of the ground house. Chose the ground house because the exterior matches and blends with the cave really well. And the inside of that's going to be some more crypts as soon as we're done. Still getting a lot more spider webs to make it feel more and more abandoned. And then all this is only up to 500 decor so far. So I actually have another 500 decor to go here.
Wow.
And then this jumping is a little tricky. I need to edit this a bit, but you can jump up here, and then there's another ledge that you can jump. You have to kind of inch up when you're on this middle ledge here. 2 ledges here. And then one more ledge. I need to make the actual ledge up here. And this is going to be all the middle level of the caverns once they get more purple rock arches and start building up here. There's going to be some aqueducts and some other things up here. They're kind of more reminiscent of a temple city because you'll have the substructure, more stone and stone integrated with the caverns, rocks and everything. And then lastly, you have the 3rd level, which is going to be up here. And I'm falling off because I'm special. But all these dragon walls here are laid down as kind of a dirt-looking base to build upon, because when I actually build kind of like you build in a painting, and I build in layers, and I typically build upwards as much as I can. But I'll build a base, and then I start filling in like the important details, and then I fill in the minor details, and that's just kind of the way I build right now. And then all this is up here is going to be where the actual temple is and everything. I have the base of one of the stone floors that the temple's on, and these are upside down pet crypts.
Oh, cool.
Or not pet crypts, crowded graves. But they're very stony looking, so this plot's actually inspired by Diablo 2 Act 3, which is kind of a fens, kind of a swampy area called Kurast, and it's got a lot of ruins in this where the Lord of Hell Mephisto is kept, except there's going to be less hellish things and more just the temples and mossy overgrowths and very, very swampy.
Jungle feel, very Stranglethorn Vale-ish for WoW players.
For WoW players, totally Stranglethorn Vale. Recent WoW players, it'd probably be simpler to the Tanan jungle and on Draenor. There's going to be a lot of like swampy looking stuff and pathing around the outside. Very, very real world wise, something kind of similar to like the Mayan.
Yeah.
Or the Aztec. But yeah, that's a preview of Takunan's plot there.
Very cool. And I know you're working on a bunch of commissions and stuff right now, so I guess a good question for that is, if people want to get started in housing and they don't know where to begin, like what kind of tips and tricks would you suggest for folks new to it, folks coming back, folks that want to try something different, stuff like that?
For people that are just coming to it, check with Katia
Mannequin, right?
Katia Storekeep is she has an awesome plot where she has all the decor that you can craft on display, and even some that's not craftable that's drops in places. And she will give you decor for tips or smiles, whatever you want to pay. I always try to pay her a fair price because she is awesome for doing that. And that's a really good way to try and get some decor for cheap, especially if you're a lower level just starting out. And that's something that I didn't have when I started, because I started the week after launch, so I was basically like, man, those 50 silver obsidian stone steps are expensive. They add up. And I was broke off of 50 silver a piece decor. And so Katia doing that is a really awesome thing. Theme-wise, pick something you really enjoy. I've seen people do Legend of Zelda plots. Mine are based off of aliens. I've seen people do cities that are based off of Gotham City from Batman, all kinds of things I've seen people do, including, the typical clubs and bars and everything. And you can do a lot of things if you just kind of think outside the box and rotate your decor around and be like, oh, suddenly you're like, I didn't know this was on the bottom of this. This looks really awesome. Kind of like before we drop down to the alien nest and Kelsum's there, you don't realize that that's there, but then you're like, wow, the bottom of this Dominion landing pad is actually really cool looking, and you normally wouldn't think to use that because you're not looking at it. So that's another tip, is to kind of rotate and look at all sides of your decor, because you might find a use for it, or something might hit you that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise.
That's really cool. So if people want to get in touch with you for commissions or otherwise just to admire your work, how should they get in touch with you? In-game, forums, Twitter, what handles should they use, etc.?
I am on several different social media websites. I am on Tumblr as Malzek Rainfury, all one word. It's the same as spelling as my name. And on Twitter, I am at CL Chaotix. That's CLCHAOTIX. And I have public, and anyone can feel free to follow me and send me a direct message if they want to get in contact with me. Malzek Rainfury is also my main in-game, and I'm typically on Malzek Rainfury. And you can always add me as an account friend if you want to catch me on other alts, but typically I'm on Malzek.
Very cool. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming on Yardcore, volunteering to show off your plots and your amazing knowledge. And
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be part of the series, and I'm glad that we have some more series devoted to housing.
very cool.